Good evening and thank you for joining us. An East Texas judge has come under fire for the unusual marriage order he gave a Tyler man 3 months ago. And what we've learned since then is that that man was not alone. We first brought you the story in August. 21-year-old Justin Bundy appeared before a Smith County judge in July on a misdemeanor assault charge. According to court transcripts, he was given a choice. Judge Randall Rogers told him he could either marry his girlfriend, 19-year-old Elizabeth Janes, or spend 15 days in jail. The couple chose to get married, and after our story aired and went online, it started getting attention from around the world. But as our investigation reveals, that couple was not the first or the last to get that type of order to marry. Our Julia Janae talked with some of those other people and tracked down the judge as 7 investigates.
Patty, I have no comment on nothing.
On anything?
Nothing.
After weeks of asking for an interview, we went directly to the courthouse.
Even now that you've been recused from the case and it's not an active
You've asked for other cases, no comment.
Other cases of more couples whose sentence in criminal court included matrimony. In a July 2015 case for misdemeanor shoplifting, the judge gives Michelle Powell and her co-defendant boyfriend a choice. According to court transcripts, he says, if you get within 100 feet of him during the 2-year probation, you go to jail. Or do you want to run off and get married and come back?
I don't want to leave him. I love him. I didn't want to be away from him.
The court gave them 2 weeks to walk down the aisle. I'm not going to force you, the judge says. This will turn out to be a life sentence.
The judge was saying, you know, you're going to have to get married. Do you want to marry her? And he's like, yeah, I'll marry her. So that made me cry, you know, that's my proposal.
She returned with her marriage license on August 6th. Later that same day, she saw our report on Justin Bundy and Elizabeth Janes on the news.
I was heartbroken for them because I know the pain of not being able to have all your family. You know, it's hard that you didn't get to plan it the way that you wanted to plan it.
Less than 10 days after the rushed wedding, the case against Michelle's now husband was dismissed, leaving her to wonder why the marriage condition of her probation was even necessary. That's the same question a father from Frankston is asking. 3 years ago, Bill Bull's son Ben had a similar court experience on a theft charge.
It did not benefit Ben. It made it worse on his way of life. It made it worse on his emotions. He was under distress all the time.
Benjamin Bull's co-defendant girlfriend was accused of taking items from a department store in the women's dressing room. This time again, Judge Rogers tells the co-defendants they must separate. You go through a formal ceremony and get married. She can go back around you. But Bill says after the wedding, things were rocky.
They were together 1 or 2 days, separate. They would get back, they would separate. It created more of a financial and emotional problem with Ben.
He says Ben was considering a divorce, but only 4 months later, Ben suffered a severe asthma attack that sent him to the hospital and on life support. His now new wife had rights only a marriage bond could bring.
It upset me quite a bit knowing that Ben was already brain dead and was not going to survive. And that marriage certificate enabled her to keep him alive longer, and for no reason. He did not want it. He had made the statement he did not want it, and he was not gonna live that way.
Benjamin passed away in 2013, but Bill says he still questions what happened in the courtroom. So does Michelle.
It's like a life sentence. Even though I don't mind being married for the life, but it wasn't supposed to be forced on me.
Now, it's unclear from court records why co-defendants would be allowed to cohabitate if they were married, but not if they stay unmarried. Judge Rogers says in at least one of the transcripts that he doesn't consider this approach to be a shotgun wedding, that he's giving the couples a choice. But many attorneys that we've talked to say that any marriage order is likely invalid, leaving these defendants with really no choice at all.
So, Julia, what's next for these couples who were affected? Is there anything they can do if the order was invalid?
Well, legally they could get their marriage annulled if it was under duress, but in Michelle Powell's case and the first couple that we interviewed back in August, the couple say they don't want a divorce. They're fine with being married, just not the way it happened.
Thank you, Julia. Judge Rogers told us that he's not allowed to talk to us about these cases or the official complaint that is now pending against him. We'll tell you what reprimands he could be facing. We'll also hear from a retired East Texas judge who talks about this issue from Rogers' position. That is tomorrow night at 10 in part 2 of our investigation.